Hello, in this video we're going to take a look at an exam question from the December exam in 2013, and I've essentially typed in the code from the question on the exam, and the question is, what does this output? So with a little bit of work we can trace this through and we can see that we come to this for loop. It starts at -4. Is I less than 4? That's true. So is -4 mod 2 0? That's true. So we print out -4. I get to the bottom of my for loop. I change, so I add 2 to I, which we can see right here. And then so I go from -4 to -2. Is -2 less than 4? That's true. So I enter the loop again. -2 mod 2 0, true. So I print out I, comma. I get to the bottom. I becomes 0. Is 0 less than 4? That's true. So I come back to the top. Is 0 mod 2 0? That's true. So I print out 0, comma. I get to the bottom. I becomes 2. Is 2 less than 4? That's true. So I go back to the top. Is 2 mod 2 0? That's true. So I print out 2, comma. I get to the bottom. I becomes 4. Is 4 less than 4? That's false. And it continues on. So this question, one of the things we want to make sure you're doing, this question is checking to see that you really read this check condition that is not less than or equal to. And that was probably one of the most common mistakes on this question, that some students included 4 comma as the last output, when really it only executes the if statement if it passes the condition and comes back to the top. So again, something you could do with this problem is you could take this and change the values and then see if you can trace the code, get the output, and run it. It's a nice way to practice for the upcoming exam. What I'm going to do with this question now is a couple things. So the first thing that we might notice is another question that could come from this is, how is this code inefficient? Well, notice, because we're incrementing by 2 every time, and we check if I mod 2 is 0, which is essentially checking if the number is even, this is always going to be true because it goes -4, -2, 0, 2, 4, and 4 fails, of course. So this if statement isn't needed. So that's a nice little thing here to notice. If you always enter a condition, then why have it? So it's something to think about in terms of efficiency of this program. So the question the student asked is, would I need to include the comma at the end? And the answer is yes, because that's how this program runs. But perhaps I wanted to write this such that it didn't have a comma at the end. How might I do that? So we're going to show you 2 possible ways to approach this. One is more practical in context to the exam. The other one is an interesting way for some stuff you might do later on in the year. So what I need to do is, because every time I print out I followed by a comma, I simply have to put this output inside an if statement. And the if statement is just going to check if it's the last value in the loop. So if I look at this, I know that the last value in this loop is that is printed is +2. So I'm going to say if I is equivalent to +2, I'm only going to print out the I. Else, so what we've done is we've predicted what the last value of I will be in this loop, and then we put a condition to account for that. So if I run this now, oh, I have an error. Let's see if we can figure out where that error is. Oh, I think I'm missing a brace, it looks like. So you see that? That's what I meant. Brace issue. There we go. I'm not going to redo the video, so you see that I have brace issues sometimes too. When you have brace issues, a good thing to do, comment them. End of class, end of main, end of for. So now if I run this, notice how the last value doesn't have a comma in it. Now, another approach to this, and this is more for fun. You won't see something like this on your exam, but again, this is something that will be useful in some later techniques, is what I could do is I could construct the string, and then only when I'm done do I print it out. So I'm going to make a string up here, call it S, and I'm going to put nothing in it. And what I'm going to do is S is equal to S plus I. So what happens is I'm not actually printing anything in this screen. I'm simply taking my string S and I'm adding to it whatever currently is in S plus the counter variable. So remember, if I take a string and I add something to it, it essentially puts those words together. So if I have cat plus dog, I get cat dog. And then what I can do at the end is I can do system.out.println S. And again, I have this kind of comma problem at the end, and I'll solve this in a second. But what this does is it means I can construct the string in the loop, and I only actually print out one thing at the very end. This idea of constructing a string and then using it later is a very powerful idea that will be very useful in some later ideas in this course. Not relevant with regards to the exam that you're going to be writing. That being said, perhaps, just to finish this off, perhaps I want to get rid of this comma at the end. Well, we have some really useful methods that we can apply to strings, and one of them is called substrings. So if I say s is equal to s dot substring, substring will pull out part of that string. So if I take the substring and I go from 0 to s dot length minus 1, and the way the substring method works is it's inclusive, exclusive. So if my string is, let's put some comments here, 2 comma, sorry, -4 comma 2, -2 comma 0 comma 2 comma 4, oh just 2, pardon me, comma. The indexes is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This space would be 10, the 2 would be 11, and the last one would be 12. So what this will do is this will take everything starting from the start, 0, and it will go to the length minus 1. So it's going to take that chunk of the string. So if I use this substring method, essentially what I'm doing, get some more space here, essentially what I'm doing is oh, pardon me. Oh, I had a space at the end. See, so there's a space here, so I have to do s dot length minus 2, pardon me. So I run this again, and see how it chops off that comma? Again, this whole constructing a string, substring, has nothing to do with your exam, but it's a neat little thing to start thinking about, because in the next reporting period, we're going to be diving into this stuff. Anyways, have a great day, and as always, just send me any questions.